I was pretty nervous to tell everybody, A, that I was pregnant, and B, that I was deciding on adoption. It's not the easiest decision to make, and a lot of people have kind of antiquated ideas of adoption. I think I did as well. I didn't really understand what open adoption was. So it was really kind of hard for people to understand why I would just want to give my baby away. But it wasn't like that. It's so much more. So I think it was definitely a little bit challenging at first to kind of let people know what my decision was with adoption. I was 38 years old when I found out I was pregnant and was kind of looking into different options for myself and obviously for my child. I pretty much knew right away. I knew about a week to 2 weeks into my pregnancy that I was pregnant. I took pregnancy tests right away. I think it took about 5. They were all positive. And then I went to the doctor to get it confirmed. And right away, I definitely was trying to think of the future. And I knew that abortion just wasn't the right option for me personally. So it was either adoption or raise a child on my own. The birth father was not really in the picture at the time, so adoption definitely seemed like the best way to go. So I started looking into it kind of online, just kind of seeing what the options were. I felt very comfortable once I made the decision for adoption to follow through with it. I think probably the hardest part was just kind of convincing my family that that was the best way to go. They weren't that easy to understand the whole process. It wasn't something they were familiar with, and nor was I, but I felt like after looking at the American Adoption's website and finding all about the family that was going to adopt my child, that I felt very, very comfortable with adoption. I chose Chris and Lexie from the American Adoption's website. I just fell in love with them from watching their video and kind of reading their profiles, their whole portfolio that was online. It made me laugh, it made me smile, and I could picture my child with them, which was really amazing. I saw them as people that I would get along with, if I could be friends with them. And in a strange way, it was kind of like, picking my own parents, somebody that you'd want to take care of your child. It was a really unique experience. I had decided on them right away when I first saw their website, their video on the website, and just fell in love with them. Everything Chris and Lexie had with their family. They had one child already, and I pretty much knew right away. It was very, very early on in my pregnancy, and that was the main reason why I chose American Adoptions, was because of them. I think that allowed for an amazing experience for all of us. They were actually able to come to all of my doctor's appointments, all of my ultrasounds, which was really, really neat. And I think that was something special for all of us to kind of be involved in that. And so I think that was good that I decided early on that that was the way I wanted to go. I think it was very, very special to be able to share my doctor's appointments, especially the ultrasounds, with Chris and Lexie. Just watching their faces when they could see the sonogram. We were all together, and it felt very special and very real, and it felt like we were one big family. And it made me so excited to take extra special care of my baby, because it was going to be their baby. And I tried to make sure to involve them with all those doctor's appointments and have them join me, which was a really great experience. Just watching their faces light up with excitement. I know they were a little bit nervous too, because there was always that chance that I could maybe change my mind, but I knew I wasn't going to. So I tried to kind of assure them that that was not going to happen. I just knew from seeing their faces and how excited they were during those doctor's appointments that this was the right way to go. I think I was a little bit nervous at first before I met Chris and Lexie. More so just hoping that we would actually match, that they would match with me as the adoptive family for my baby. Once I spoke to them over the phone, all my nerves just kind of went away. I knew that this was something that was really meant to be, and I just felt at ease the whole rest of the process. And we got to meet up quite regularly, which was really special. And it just kind of validated my decision in adoption that I knew this was the way to go. I felt like I knew them right away, which is really neat. And they made me feel like I was part of their family from early on. The naming process for our baby is really kind of exciting. Chris and Lexie had some ideas for names that they definitely kind of bounced off of me to get some ideas, some feedback on what names they thought I would like. And we all kind of decided on one name, which was really, really special. They let me pick her middle name, which is really amazing. So she actually shares my same middle name, which is really, really neat. I think that was so sweet of them to do, to be able to let me have a part in the naming process of their baby. They had done the same thing previously with their adopted son that's older than Tess, in letting the birth mother pick the middle name, which I think is really, really special. But it was definitely a name that we came up with, changed it a few times, going back and forth, changed it again, but it was always something that we decided on kind of as a group, which was really, really special. I definitely had a little bit of a tough time with my family right away when I told them that adoption was going to be my decision with my baby. They didn't really know a lot about adoption. I didn't know that much either, but I was obviously doing my research. They were not as open to the idea. I think they felt that they needed to kind of close themselves off to me and to baby Tess, and they didn't really want to know that much about her. I remember it was really hard. I sent my family a gender reveal cake. When I found out it was going to be a baby girl, I sent them a little cake, and they just kind of dismissed it. They weren't that excited about it. But that's definitely changed since they've grown a little bit more familiar with the process of open adoption and actually met Chris and Lexie and know that we'll always be connected, always be a family. And they keep in touch with the family as a whole. In fact, my mom sends them gifts all the time, and birthday gifts and Christmas gifts and things like that, which is really kind of neat. And so it's definitely not your normal relationship or your normal family, but it's definitely something that's really special. And I think they've definitely come around to realize that this was the best decision I ever could have made, and they've embraced it, and they've come around to loving the whole new family that we've kind of created, which is really special. For any birth mom that doesn't have a really strong support system, I would say trust yourself, trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to lean on your adoption specialist. They really, really can help you step through the whole process and hold your hand at the same time, and make you feel good about yourself and your decisions. They've seen it all. They know the whole range of emotions, what you're dealing with, and how they can best help you. And I was very lucky that I had not only the support of my adoption specialist, but also the adoptive family and Chris and Lexie. They were so supportive and were always really careful about anything that I was feeling, and definitely try to involve me in everything, any process that they could. I was still buying baby clothes and giving it to them, and any little thing that I could to kind of be part of the process was really, really kind of special. The hospital experience for me when I was giving birth to Tess, it was amazing. I picked my hospital that I wanted to go to, and I actually ended up changing my health insurance so that I could deliver at that hospital. It was that important to me. The hospital staff was very, very caring and very supportive. I had a really great adoption plan that American Adoptions helped me to create, and all the nursing staff at the hospital even said it was the most detailed birth plan they'd ever seen. They were really impressed by it and were hoping to use it as examples for other situations in the future. I had a great hospital stay. It didn't hurt that my delivery time was only 3 hours. That was pretty amazing. So it was very fast and not as long as I thought it would be. I ended up going with a doula that I picked somebody from the outside to kind of help me through the birthing process itself. I knew my mom was going to be coming to the hospital with me, but I didn't know if there was going to be anybody else that could support me and step me through the process. And having a doula was actually another great support system for me. Somebody that was kind of an expert with the whole birthing process and could remind me of my breathing and pain management. And I think that was a nice opportunity that I chose for myself. It was great having Chris and Lexie come to the hospital right away after Tess was born. I think it kind of threw off the hospital staff a little bit because they didn't really understand our relationship, but I think it was that way throughout the whole pregnancy process. People didn't really know, they were adoptive parents. It was more like we were family or friends or even a surrogacy program. People were kind of thrown for a loop. So we were always kind of trying to tell people, no, it's an open adoption. This is it. This is the process. So that was kind of unique. But the whole hospital stay was really, really smooth and very convenient. And I think American Adoptions had a lot to do with that, making it as easy as possible. So I didn't have to worry about anything during the whole process. It was very easy, and I felt like everything was already taken care of, which was great. And I still felt like I was in charge, and whatever I wanted would happen, which was really nice. I would definitely recommend a doula for anybody that's considering adoption when you're delivering, if it's something that you feel you need. I knew that I wouldn't necessarily have anybody by my bedside to hold my hand and help me through the breathing process or be able to assist me with pain management. And that's what I found in having a doula. It was very, very helpful. Also afterwards, my doula came back to my house and kind of helped me postpartum. And I think it was just a great learning experience for me, especially being a first-time mom, to be able to have somebody that could just assist me with the whole process, because I was really unfamiliar with a lot of things, including breastfeeding, little things like that I think a doula was a big help. When we were at the hospital, Chris and Lexie were there right after Tess was born. She spent a little bit of time in the NICU just to get checked out for about an hour right after she was delivered. And then she came back, and Chris and Lexie were there right away to spend time with her. They were actually a big help to me. They actually stayed overnight to assist me with night feedings and changing and caring for a crying baby through all hours. It was really, really helpful. I wanted them to be able to have as much time with her as possible and kind of share that special moment with me. But I also wanted to spend as much time with her as I could as well. And I think that's something that an open adoption allowed for, is that we were all able to come together as a unique family and spend time together in the hospital. They brought their son over to visit right away, and they actually had a photographer come and take pictures of us all together, and then they sent me pictures later, which was really, really sweet. Seeing them spend time with my mom and interacting with her while we were all at the hospital was really special as well. During hospital time, I was exhausted, so my emotions were a little bit of a roller coaster. I was a little bit overwhelmed. The fact that I actually had given birth to this beautiful baby. I was so grateful at that point that Chris and Lexie were there at the hospital to help me in taking care of her. I felt like I had a great support system there at the hospital, which was really, really great. I would not say that the adoption process is easy. It's not something that comes natural. Giving up your child for adoption is hard, but I think I was very well prepared for all the feelings that I would be feeling, and I was very much in control of my feelings. I knew what was going to happen along every step of the adoption process. So I felt very confident in that. And with American Adoptions, I definitely felt like I was in the driver's seat. Like I was definitely in control of the entire process, and everything was my choice. And I think that was really helpful too. Knowing that it wasn't like my baby was going to be taken away from me and given to strangers. It was literally like giving them to people you've known your whole life, and just knowing that they would take care of her obviously as their own and love her and be able to take care of her in ways that I would not be able to. I feel that American Adoptions definitely supported me along the way, both with living expenses and a little bit with groceries and toiletries, things like that. Things that I didn't even think were going to be an issue along the way that would impact me. But it was definitely wonderful to have that support, that financial support, making sure that I could still take the very best care of my baby and not have to worry about working so much, or being able to pay my rent or buy groceries at the store. I feel like that was a huge assistance, and something that definitely helped me along the way. For somebody that was considering parenting versus adoption, if your life is set up for that, I think that's great. If you're financially able to take care of a child, that's wonderful. Just know that open adoption is definitely an amazing experience. And I definitely know now that I wouldn't have been able to give her the same opportunities that Chris and Lexie do, which is really great. I don't regret my decision at all. I think it's the best thing, both for myself and also for Tess, and then Chris and Lexie also. I see their family and how it's grown and how amazing it is, and it makes me super happy every day. I have a great relationship with Chris and Lexie and Tess now, and it just makes me feel great. I get to kind of see Tess grow up with the family, and I definitely feel like I'm a part of their family, which is quite amazing. And they've made a big point to welcome the rest of my family into their hearts. So they always ask about my mom and my sister and my nephews, everything, which is really amazing. In fact, my nephew got to play with their son when they all came out to visit, and that was really special. Then seeing my sister hold baby Tess for the first time, it was really kind of neat. And I think meeting up with all of them as a big group, it helped my family kind of come to terms with the adoption process. They were a little bit nervous at first and were a little bit hesitant to still think of her as part of our family, because they knew another family would be adopting her. But Chris and Lexie have made us all feel like one big family, and I think that's amazing. In fact, their son calls my mom Grandma, which is really cute and kind of amazing. I really wish that people were more educated on adoption. I know myself, I was not. I didn't really know that much about it. I feel like when I tell people that I gave my child up for adoption, I kind of have to say, but it's an open adoption and this and that and that. And I don't feel like I should have to clarify it in that way. It should just be like, oh, wow, adoption is a really amazing decision, and it's an amazing institution. And there are many different kinds of adoption that I guess I wasn't really aware of when I was first deciding on adoption. I think now my family and friends and everybody that kind of sees how well everything's gone for myself and for Tess and Chris and Lexie, they understand that this was just a really great process, and that it was really the only way that I really could have gone. I think there are a lot of emotions that you feel during the adoption process. You're a little bit panicked at first, especially if it wasn't a planned pregnancy. You're nervous about what the future is going to hold. You're nervous and worried that you're going to be able to actually give your child up for adoption. Is it going to be hard to part ways? Are you going to change your mind in the middle of the process? There's a lot of emotions right away. I feel like my adoption specialist was able to help me through a lot of those emotions and kind of guide me through the whole process. And the more information I was given about open adoption, I felt more confident about the whole process. That made it a lot easier. I think I was pretty much in control of my emotions during the whole time. I knew that this was the direction I wanted to go in. Even when I was at the hospital holding a brand new baby in my arms, I knew that this was Chris and Lexie's child, and that I had just given her the best possible start to life. And I knew that I would be able to see her in the future and watch her grow. There's still emotions that I feel, but it's never regret or it's never sadness. I know this was the best decision to make for me, and I'm really happy with the way everything's turned out. I would definitely recommend open adoption to other birth moms that are looking or trying to decide what their future is going to be. Life for me now is pretty great. I work, I travel a lot. I'm very happy, very, very happy. And I'm so grateful that I get to watch Tess grow in this amazing family. And I get to see everything that they provide for her that I would not have been able to. And it just kind of reassures me every day that I made the best decision in an open adoption.